Hi, it's Patrick Hutzel from IntensiveCareHotline.com, where we instantly improve the lives for families of critically ill patients in intensive care, so that you can make informed decisions, have peace of mind, real power, real control, and so that you can influence decision making fast, even if you're not a doctor or a nurse in intensive care. This is another episode of Your Questions Answered, and in last week's episode I answered another question from our readers, and the question last week was part 4 of my 84-year-old dad has been in ICU for 3 months. He's ventilated with a tracheostomy. The doctors want to let him die and turn off the ventilator. We want to take him home instead. What are our options? You can check out the answer to last week's question by clicking on the link below this video. In this week's episode of Your Questions Answered, I want to answer the next question from Belinda. And Belinda's next question is part 5 of my 84-year-old dad has been in ICU for 3 months. He's ventilated with a tracheostomy. The doctors want to let him die and turn off the ventilator. We want to take him home instead. What are our options? You can also check out part 1, part 2, part 3 and part 4 of this series by clicking on the links below this video in the written version of this blog. This series of questions are excerpts from a one-on-one phone and Skype counseling session and a series of email counseling and consulting as well. So, Belinda writes, "Hi Patrick, thank you for following up and for keeping me motivated, sane and empowered. Yes, I know they can't do what they're doing, but the hospital doctor put us under pressure to either have a permanent catheter or no dialysis at all for my dad. So what choice did I have to sign the authorization to put in the catheter? I really want to file it with grievance, but they are connected to the hospital as well, so I don't know if they do anything. But the radiologist and my dad's nephrologist said that it's okay to declot his graft. Only the ICU team refused. They said the only options are permanent catheter or no dialysis at all. You are right about physical therapy and sitting up, so I should ask for it. How often do you think physical therapy per day? I can do it with him too. Actually, I would love to move him to another hospital, but I need to know a doctor there as well in one hospital to take us in. His previous nephrologist works out of a hospital in a surrounding area, and that nephrologist actually said that they wouldn't take him in unless we knew somebody there or unless his health fund would approve it. If we could get him home, it would be the best, but they won't let us at this stage. They say he's still not stable enough. I will listen again to the interview that you sent, but I think I had listened to it already. My father, the combination of dialysis and the ventilator make it really difficult at this stage to get him home. So you also think we should be still weaning him during the day? We are on a roller coaster. One day I think he won't make it, and I said, why should I even bother with him weaning? And then the next day he feels better, and his numbers are getting better too, and I get hopeful again. Thank you so much, and keep up the good work, from Belinda." So here's my response to Belinda. "Hi Belinda, I'm really sorry to hear the situation that you and your family are stuck in. I know it's difficult to watch your father suffer, whilst also wondering whether you are doing everything you can to look for the best possible options for him. You and your family must feel exhausted by now, and I can only imagine how difficult it is to carry on with everything that's behind you and everything that's still in front of you. By now you have spent probably way too much time in intensive care. It looks like the intensive care team's reality is a fairly negative and also authoritarian reality. It's unfortunately what most ICUs are used to. They try and tell families what they think is quote-unquote in the best interest for your dad, without genuinely counseling and consulting you. This is nothing new and unfortunately works in most cases because families are not determined enough to ask for what they want and deserve. Most families simply also don't know about their rights and take the intensive care team's words and their positioning for face value without questioning it. As a matter of fact, most families in intensive care are simply intimidated by the perceived power and the perceived authority of the intensive care team. I know why they want the permanent catheter for the dialysis in spite of all other specialists agreeing that your dad would be okay with the declotting of his graft. ICUs are not the specialists with the graft, but they are the specialists when it comes to a permanent vascular catheter for the dialysis, and besides, they may also be able to charge a fee for it. So there you go. Even if your dad is inevitably dying, you want to make sure that you have tried everything that is in his genuine best interest. If you didn't do that, you may later have regrets and you may be wondering, what if? In any case, physiotherapy shouldn't be provided by a family member in intensive care in a first world country like the United States. Physiotherapy should be provided by physiotherapists in intensive care on a daily basis. There are no two ways about that. You or other family members shouldn't be doing it. It should be standard care and treatment in intensive care. If your dad is strong enough, you should continue with the weaning off the ventilator. Please also keep in mind that weaning off the ventilator is most often assisted by physiotherapy as well. Their exercises and their work strengthens critically ill patients' respiratory or breathing muscles, making it all the more likely that your father might be able to come off the ventilator. Therefore, their work is crucial. Weaning off the ventilator and physiotherapy are not mutually exclusive. They go hand in hand in intensive care. I know, Belinda, you must feel that whatever you are asking for, that the ICU team is going in the other direction. I have written an article with the title "Having Your Loved One Critically Ill in Intensive Care. Follow Your Gut and Intuition." By that I mean, if you think and feel that your father has a real chance of survival or has a real chance of an end-of-life situation on your, his and your family's terms, you need to do, you need doing to get the best possible outcomes for him. This may include finding another ICU that may take him. I'm a big believer that everything in life is negotiable if you position your dad's situation and yourself correctly. The intensive care team has positioned your dad's situation as if it was all hopeless and the only option would be to withdraw treatment. It's almost their default position for any situation in intensive care that requires effort and persistence as well as resources. If you're not happy where you are, you may have to go somewhere else. Your approach needs to be to start managing the intensive care team and not the other way round. Yes, and this means adopting a total different mindset from being managed by the intensive care team to you managing them. Very few families have the guts to do it, but that's your only way forward. I know you're probably running low on energy and spirits. However, you need to do something that's very different, because by now you have realized that your current approach isn't working. I think you are very proactive just by seeking out for help and by looking for information. However, putting your knowledge into practice can be daunting. Again, currently, you, your family and your dad might not be in a great situation, and even if your dad is inevitably approaching his end of life, you want to make sure that everything that you wanted to have done has been done, so that you don't think he hasn't had the best care and treatment there is. You also have to continue pushing for home care if you can find a service provider like intensive care at home once your dad is more stable. Trying to get into another ICU if you think that the current treatment and also your relationship with the current treating team has run its course. You may have to speak to your health fund as well to get into another hospital. If your dad has little to no time left in hospital, make sure you and your family can get enough time with your dad, and also make sure all your cultural, religious and also spiritual needs are met, if you want to have any of these needs met, so that you feel you have done the best you could have probably done in this difficult situation. You don't want to feel bitter and disappointed by not trying. Also, make sure you are not signing any documents that you don't want to sign, or that you get passed over for any documents that you should have signed in order to give consent for certain procedures. Also make sure, Belinda, that you don't go into family meetings that you are not prepared for. Family meetings are often being used by the intensive care team to intimidate families in intensive care, because they are the ones running the meetings and the agenda. Families are completely unaware of the agenda of those meetings, and they are usually overwhelmed by those meetings. In any case, you need to be prepared for any direction this situation is going, and I highly recommend you look at these resources here to have a better understanding of what you need to do. I wrote an ebook with some videos about the ultimate 6-step guide for family meetings with the intensive care team that gets you to help making informed decisions, peace of mind, control, power and influence fast. So check that out below this video and click on the link in the written version of this blog. No matter how difficult this situation appears, Belinda, you and your family really need to start changing your approach towards the intensive care team, and you need to be more firm. They are doing what they're always doing, and they know what works with 99% of the families of critically ill patients in intensive care who don't make informed decisions, don't have peace of mind, control, power or influence. So, take care, and I wish you and your family all the best. So, how can you become the best advocate for your critically ill loved one? Make informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power and influence quickly whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care. You get to that all-important feeling of making informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power and influence when you download your free instant impact report now by entering your email below. In your free instant impact report, you learn quickly how to make informed decisions, get peace of mind, real power and real control, and how you can influence decision making fast whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care. Your free instant impact report gives you in-depth insight that you must know whilst your loved one is critically ill or is even dying in intensive care. Sign up and download your free instant impact report now by entering your email below. In your free instant impact report, you learn how to speak the secret intensive care language so that the doctors and the nurses know straight away that you are an insider and that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care. In your free report, you will also discover how to ask the doctors and the nurses the right questions, discover the many competing interests in intensive care, and how your critically ill loved one's treatment may depend on those competing interests, how to eliminate fear, frustration, stress, struggle and vulnerability even if your loved one is dying. You get 5 mind-blowing tips and strategies helping you to get on the right path to making informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power and influence in your situation. You'll get real-world examples that you can easily adapt to your and your critically ill loved one's situation. How to stop being intimidated by the intensive care team and how you will be seen as equals. You'll get crucial behind the scenes insight so that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care and how you need to manage doctors and nurses in intensive care, and it's not what you think. Thank you for tuning into this week's Your Questions Answered episode, and I'll see you again next week in another update. Make sure you also check out our blog section for more tips and strategies, or simply send me an email to support@intensivecarehotline.com with your questions. Or you can call me, find international phone numbers on our contacts tab. Also, check out our ebook section where you get more ebooks, videos and audio recordings, and where you can also get one-on-one counseling and consulting with me via Skype, over the phone or via email by clicking on the products tab. This is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecarehotline.com, and I'll see you again next week in another update.